Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to Data Ki Baat. So, how would you feel when you spend a lot of money into your data management program or buying some tool and thought that it will solve all of your data problem? But in fact, what you realize later is that you have not achieved what you really wanted to achieve out of that tool or technology. Yes, that's the topic for today, where we are trying to go a little, away from the process and technology and talking about the human aspect of data management or data governance. So let me welcome Tejashwi here and then take the conversation ahead. Hey Tejashwi, welcome.
Hey
Can you
Sanjeev,
talk about yourself a little bit? Yeah.
thanks for having me on your show. And in fact,
Yeah.
well, I have been in the data industry for quite some time, ages, in fact, you can say. So when I started with, Infosys as a software engineer, I was in fact coding in mainframes. So if I look back, I should say that is an excellent career progression that I had from coding into mainframes to being a data analyst, a business analyst, and then a data governance practitioner and a data management practitioner. And in fact, I have a book that I got published in 2017, one of the um, best pre-sold books, I would say. Well, you would have to say whether it's up to you guys to actually go through it and put your comments out there.
Yeah. So I think I've just flashed the link over there, Tejashwi, so that people can have a look at it and then go ahead and then see for themselves. Yep. Thanks for sharing. Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. And in fact, when it comes to the human aspects of data management and governance, let's go back to the basics. Touching upon the basics of data management, we always knew that there is a CIO organization out there in most of the firms, which in fact takes care of having to manage information and relatively the data. But as we progress through certain level of maturity in having to manage data, its quality, its metadata, its architecture, there's a specific science that has evolved, which in fact is data management as such. And there is also data governance, which is further an aspect of data management per se.
Right.
And in the industry, when we talk about data management and governance, Sanjeev, perhaps you can put your thoughts around what do you think is data management and what do you think is data governance?
Absolutely. That's a great one, and that's where the whole thought process and difference come, right? So when you are talking about, to me, right, when I think of really managing things and then governing things, so managing talks and gives lot of actions, and then when I think about from the governance standpoint, right, it is
Yeah.
basically driving those actions. So it is, you can tell and you can probably think that it is different, but let's do it this way. So I need to check my data before I am entering based upon certain rules, right? That's action somebody would take. But what are those rules? Those rules would be basically put by somebody who is really looking at that data, owning that data, and putting those rules across you. So you are following those processes for those policies and standard to take that action. So while you are really doing that thing, taking that action, you are driven by
Yeah,
some
brilliant. I think,
policies and processes. Right?
yeah.
That's where the whole idea comes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, in fact, I would resonate your thoughts. Data management is more to do with the technology capabilities of, pipelining data, storing it, managing it, consuming it, and archiving it or decaying it or deleting it. It's more technology focused, right? At the same time, we need a process and a people aspect of having to enable data management. And that is what is missing out there. And for the past 10, 15 years, we in the industry, yourself, myself, and other practitioners and leaders have been trying to set this formalization out there in terms of making data management a specific science, a specific routinely executed set of activities that can in fact bring that formalization across. And that's where we had the advent of chief data officers. And then there is a new art or a science that came up, which is called data governance. And people, in fact, started, embracing data governance as a part of data management. I'll tell you the way I pursue data governance.
Yep, that
So
would
now
be
we
great.
are very clear about what, yeah. So now we are very clear about what data management is. It's our activities on having to manage data quality, metadata architecture, and how data is being pipelined, and other aspects of how data is being consumed, as well as technology enablers. While data governance is purely focused as a science of having to amalgamate the process and the people aspects together, that can in fact give a formalization to data management. So what is my first accountability or a responsibility as a data governance guy? I just need to help the data management or the chief data office in terms of formalizing that particular function. So how do I formalize it? I set up a set of processes. I build an operating model. I give them certain choices on how, in fact, they can get to an outcome of better data quality or better managing their definitions, glossaries, and architecture. Then what I look at is how I can get in some sponsorship for these activities that, in fact, can better manage data. And that's what data governance starts with. And further, we proceed to having to monitor and give guidance to data management or data managers and data analysts, and on how better there can be a business outcome from this data, what we call as an asset. And that's the way I look at data governance, which starts with formalization, assisting sponsorship, having to direct assess and monitor data management activities.
So, I mean, you used a very a generic word. I know we can really dig in more about it, but process policies, right? Do you think that it has become so much process heavy and policy heavy that there is probably a less consideration about the other aspect of data governance, and hence it is failing?
Yeah, that's a good aspect. In fact, I think most organizations today, which in fact are Fortune 100, Fortune 500. If you take these organizations, most of them are policy heavy. So what happens is once there is a data governance function, they put in a set of data management policies which are to be abided by everyone in the organization.
Right.
And there's a policy review that happens half yearly or yearly, which in fact looks at if people are in fact embracing data quality actively, and what is the score of data quality against a Six Sigma level. But what really is missing out here is, in fact, I started this way. I started by having to put a policy, but later I got to understand that, when in fact we enforce data management principles on people, there might be lesser impact on the outcome by having to enable the people who are supposed to manage these data-based activities. But instead, it's more of a question of giving a choice out there to the organization and to the people out there in the organization to say, we are okay if you follow the guidelines. Here are a set of guidelines that we can say that, if you do a data quality assessment, you'll be able to know where the data is bad. You can, in fact, use it for better operational outcomes. And in fact, you can use the tool sets that you would want to prefer. We don't enforce on anything. We just need an outcome. We just need you to manage it better. And that's where we create an awareness across an organization by putting in a set of best practices. And choices is what I always stress on.
Correct. I mean, that's where I think the choice, personally, I would say menus. And in this case, right, it is much more so people, right? Because it's a group of people you are putting in place to manage your data, govern your data, and control your data, or maybe put it into a right use, right? So when it comes to group of people, I always felt that more of a process heavy and policy heavy, and like you said, right, reinforcing that piece. And then look at this, not enforcing but giving them a choice. There is a lot of difference between these two things. I'm not saying we should not in fact put the rules and those compliance requirement in place. What I'm trying to stress upon is that, and like you rightly said, right, choice. So if you are giving them a choice to really take their best judgment, and they should also be aware that what if they are going with the choice A versus choice B, what is the implications, what are the repercussions, what would happen, which probably would not be right for them or for the organization. If that kind of a
Yes.
mindset we start bringing, that's where we are hitting that human aspect rather than really becoming a lot of policy and bombarding them with. And that's where I think one of your article I was reading, right, where you stressed upon putting design thinking in data governance, right?
Yeah.
And one aspect that I wanted to bring here is that giving them a choice, so that there is something called I was reading about, and I don't know whether we use it or not, but I think it is going to be much more useful if you start looking from the choice architecture perspective, which states that if you create an environment where you provide people with the choices which you really want them to take, but they own it, and the context that you design around it so that you get the desired result. So that's the whole idea of giving them a choice, but the choices are obviously in alignment with your vision or your data governance processes that you want to put. So what are your thoughts? Can we use this kind of a thought process, because it is really different, revolutionary maybe? I don't know whether people are using it or not. And how about design thinking,
Yeah.
all those two aspects?
In fact, yes. I think when you touched upon this choice architecture, definitely yes. The way I would prefer data governance consultants, or in fact data governance functions, to look at having to enable people in their organization is by having to put in certain choices of operating models. So let's say we can have an operating model that in fact can be a self-service driven. We can do an assisted service. We can do a full service. And certain choices like this can in fact help each of the divisions or the functions introspect what capabilities they have, and they can pull on assisted service or a full service if in fact they would want to take a choice. But giving choices will in fact help them reach a same outcome, whatever be the approach they might be using. But I'll tell you how I arrived at these three choices.
Okay.
So in fact, back in 2011, I believe. So I was doing a design thinking workshop.
Mhm.
I liked the workshop. It was one of the earliest workshops I was there in. So we got to understand that we can reiterate a problem in a different way by empathizing with the users or with the people. So in fact, let's say we have a data catalog,
Okay.
and an organization is not getting enough business terms and definitions in there. So we just need to understand what the problem really is. Is the problem not being able to curate the data definitions in a catalog? Or is the problem really about, building in awareness in the people so that they can understand that there is a catalog in place,
Yes.
which they can use to reduce their efforts? Or is the problem really about knowledge workers moving out of the organizations and the knowledge moving out within from the organization, rather, I would say, which in fact can be cataloged in a data dictionary or some other namespace or a data asset that way. So having to look at the problem and empathizing with the people or the users will actually help us in terms of better putting a problem statement that can in fact resonate well with an outcome. And this is a continuous process which we need to do as we get to understand that as we empathize with the users, we find a solution approach. We actually iterate the same solution approach as to, if I enable a single sign-on, how does it in fact help the users? Are they seamlessly able to get into the catalog? How do I build awareness? You know, with talk shows within the organizations, by putting up banners out there, it definitely helps, right? So
Right.
we are looking at various ways of having to enable users in terms of getting through that problem statement. And in fact, design thinking definitely helps. It's very iterative. It gets us to look at a problem holistically while empathizing with the users. And one thing I would stress on is, again, the data catalog. Since you brought on this topic of data catalog,
Yes.
I mean, I would rather ask you as to why do you think we need a data catalog, and how, in fact, do you think data catalog is a technology or a people aspect?
I think I brought that context, in the beginning itself, right? Because that's one area where I have, and with all my interactions and with my experience, personally as well, I feel that most of the time people, organization level, the struggle is to really finding the right data, finding it when they really need that, and take action on that.
Yeah.
So if you if I have to straight go to the point, right, what I would say is that even if you end up having a lot of budget, and there is a sponsorship around, and you go ahead and buy the best of the tool available in the market, what would happen is that the tool is not going to just help you miraculously and then give you all those that you are looking for, like really all the data that you have in the organization. It is still a lot that depends upon the people, and like you rightly said, right, the environment in which you are trying to put this whole thing, the context in which they are operating, and the choices that you're going to give them to be able to help you curate that data catalog. Data catalog is nothing without a proper curation over time. That's not going to happen in a day. And how do you curate that? I mean, there are a lot of ideas around AI and ML use of those, but those cannot go and crawl automatically and get you the right things. They work when you have the data, and they help you tag those properly. They help you give the lineage properly. There also your eyeball review process is required, right? So and what I'm trying to stress upon,
Yeah.
Tejashvi, is that you can get the tool, you can crawl through it, you can collect everything, and then the AI ML probably will start working. There also AI ML wants you to confirm that. So that means throughout the
Mm.
entire process of really procurement of the tool till the time you are realizing that benefit of catalog, you are still dependent a lot on your people. And that's where the
Yeah.
whole thing comes, right? The people behind your data are the one who is going to make the data worthwhile or usable. So I mean, the answer is heavily on people, I would say, I am personally. And then you got to have a process, and then finally the technology should support those desires. My people and my process should be supported by my technology. That's where the whole idea of putting things from my perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's an apt answer. In fact, I resonate with what you just said. I wouldn't say, I would accept to some of the vendors advertising out there, you get your data catalog, it will work wonders for you.
No.
It definitely doesn't. We
Yeah.
still need to have people putting in data definitions in the context, classifying data, and then having some artificial intelligence or machine learning having to do the labeling or crawling across the data stores,
Tagging. Yep.
so that the physical terms can be mapped with the business terms that are being curated by the data analysts or the knowledge workers out there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's an apt way of having to look at the people aspect of the data catalog, only through which we can have a successful catalog.
But don't you think that it's not only about data catalog? I mean, throughout the entire data journey that you are trying your organization to be really taking on, those digital transformations, there are many names to it, right? But ultimately, it means to me, I see data there over there. If you're talking about digital transformation, you are in fact talking and committing to a better use of data. So that's where data management and governance would come. But what it's not only data catalog, Tejashvi. It's basically anything that you want to do with data. You have to have those people aspect very much in play,
Yes,
and
yes. Mm.
ensure your success over there. I mean, you can think of various business terms. I mean, in your context or domain also, you might come up with some of the terms that people wonder that, okay, hey, what is this term A means, or what is this term B means, what is this term C means, and are they really different or same? That really help you decide that which one should you be using. I mean, I can take a classic example without getting a lot more into the detail, but I mean, there is one of my friend out there on the LinkedIn, because we really have a lot in the connection, right? So they got into this whole data catalog concept. They were really bullish around making sure that all their data organization data assets are at one place, so that they can just do Google like search, and then things start working for them, because it used to take a lot of time for them to be able to find the data and use it at the right time at the right place for the right
Yes,
reasons, right?
yes.
But that was not happening. And why it was not happening? Because they were really scattered. Most of the information were in people's minds. They were not really organized. this was the key city queues. This was the criteria for them, that people are working there for 27, 28, 30 years, and they know everything that they really remember, and that was critical. But when they really got to the implementation, they forgot that critical city queue. The people were not somehow put into or mobilized in a way that they keep those information dumped into the tool, and that tool was basically of no use. So so
Yeah.
so
In
so
fact, I think,
basically,
yeah.
yeah.
So the technology aspect, yes, it does matter to have an Excel sheet or a tool which in fact can curate all the terms, but it's in fact the people and a definitive process which can help curate the business terms, the context in which a business term is being captured. So there is a
Right.
classic example or a question that I ask everyone out there.
Mhm.
So how does a nominee differ from a beneficiary? And whenever I ask this question, people start scratching their heads, and that's when I say that the simple contextual definition to a nominee is something like a nominee is not a participant in a transaction when an account is being opened,
Mhm.
but a nominee can become a beneficiary while an account is being closed.
Mhm.
But a beneficiary is not a participant in the transaction during account opening. So as we get to understand data definitions better and the context in which a particular data element is being used in or is being created in,
Mhm.
it helps us better manage our definitions and the data. So we know once we put these definitions out there along with the context and the classifications, it helps a data analyst or a reporting analyst pick up the right data element. So today you might ask an analyst to pull out a report on how many beneficiary addresses do we have there in a particular data mart. And the first step he will be looking at is having to understand what a beneficiary really means. How is it linked to a nominee? And that's where once he gets to have an inference on what a data element or a nominee or a beneficiary really means, that's when he can pull up a report. So that's where we are trying to cut short on the time that an analyst spends by helping him with a catalog, which in fact can help him better understand on what he needs to source, where he needs to source, how he needs to source it, what is the quality of it, and other aspects like what is the privacy and the security aspects of it as well. And one thing, Sanjeev, I think you rightly stated was it's not only data catalog, but it's overall data management as such, where we need to stress on the human aspects.
That's
And there is one other classic example, I keep stating. So back in the 1800s, when the horse carts were introduced, they were introduced first in the London, and there was a route between London to Farrington where, in fact, horse carts were transferring people. There was a horse cart that started perhaps on a good Sunday. The Monday, there is a next cart. The Tuesday, there are two other carts. So the number of carts started increasing, which were in fact transporting the people. And that's when, there are good minds which start commoditizing on this aspect. And what happened then is there is a firm which in fact commoditized all these particular horse carts which were transporting people. And it always had a challenge because the horse driver or the cart driver, in fact, had the complete accountability of having to manage his cart as well as the horses, starting from having to feed the horses to looking at if the horse is really working as per its good health and capacity. And then he got to understand that yes, the horse carts are managers. They're in fact managing their carts and the horses, but I need some aspect which can help myself monitor all these hotspots while they transport the people. So what he did, he put in guideposts between London to Farrington, and he had people there monitor these carts while they were transporting people. And whenever there is a bad weather or snow, they used to tell that the carts need to take a different road. Whenever there was a breakdown in the cart, they were the ones who were actually helping the drivers in terms of fixing the carts. And they in fact helped the people reach safely by stopping burglaries and having to create a safe environment. So these guideposts, which in fact were erected between you know uh, the starting point as well as the destination, in fact were termed to be data governance posts. So that's a simple example, which we tend to say that governance is all about guiding the analysts as well as the practitioners in terms of better managing the data. And these choices, which in fact governance gives across to data managers, is something that they can pick on and put the right choices or any choices that they feel as per their capabilities and achieve the same outcome. So in this particular example, the outcome of a traveler in a horse cart is reaching the destination safely within a particular time, as he was said that he would be reaching there, and you know, not having to go through certain burglaries or anything on the road. So these are the outcomes which, in fact, I would term as are possible only with the people aspect.
People ask. So very interesting.
Oh, glad you liked it.
Yep, no, it's really is. So let's put it this way, right? I mean, and we talked about possibly that is one of the suggestion that outcome that people can take out of this call is, right? I mean, probably people will probably think that, hey, okay, how do I make sure that I am considering the human aspect, right? So the answer is that, like you just give example, right, of a cart, and then the cart manager. Let's call him a cart manager, right? He is basically trying to help those people take the right decision. So that's where the whole, I mean, if you want to go, I would request everybody to probably go and read that choice architecture and choice architects. And there is a concept called nudge. Cart, the driver, right? With some kind of a positive reinforcement, you can call it, some kind of a positive cues, but he's still independent of taking the decision. He's still going to still make a choice of not following that rule. I mean, that might so happen, right? I'm not saying that it is good for data governance, but if you allow people by saying that, hey, if you take this route, you are going to be successful, or you are going to reach the destination in a best possible way without with less hassles and cost and all those good things. So it is basically nudging people to make the right choices
Exactly.
and make the right decision without pushing something on that. And that's what choice engineering says. It says that you create a process or environment in which the people can really steer or take decisions and make a better choices without really mandating those. That's the real definition. I'm just reading it out for everybody, right? So choice engineering is a process or environment where you basically make people take those decisions based upon their best ability and judgment, not mandating it. That's where the whole idea of choice architecture and choice architects. Everybody is basically a choice architecture. Even if you're as a team leader, you are a choice architect because you are trying to give your people, when you are managing some choices, and those choices are basically aligned with your organization objectives. You are giving them a choices in a so very good manner that they are choosing it and still you're getting the right results. So that's where the word come, right? Choice architecture. You architect it in a way that people take the right decision. So that's a great point. I think a great analogy. Tejasvi, you gave, right. I think that's the message for people here. Hopefully, right.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I mean, as we are really getting closer to our talk today, I think we can still, have people questions, send us a question, and we can answer those. In your book, I will go to your book because that's something that I looked at, and then I approached you for this discussion, and also your idea of design thinking into the data governance field. Uh, how, I mean, something that you have experienced personally, like your wisdom, your experience, before we say goodbye to the user for today. Something that they can just use and implement, take away.
Yeah, definitely. I think, in fact, when you said, Sanjeev, that we'll have a conversation today, I got a copy of my book.
Oh, great.
Okay, this is how it looks.
Yeah.
And, I can post a link on, the webcast as well.
For people, they can always get it from Amazon.in. And,
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can run some discounts as well if they are coming out from this webcast,
So they can go by hashtag Data Ki Baat. Would that work?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? They should be getting some good discounts on there.
Perfect. Perfect. So great. I think we will basically hope that they go and buy it and use this discount offer that you're going to provide. And I would request everyone to. This is a very big subject. 30 minutes is not enough. Wherever the human aspect comes, I personally believe that it becomes much more complex than what you think. Right? We are trying to give an idea or touch an idea that can be think more from the human aspect and design or put some policies in place so that it is much more comfortable for people to be able to follow rather than getting overwhelmed. That was the whole concept, and we talked about choice architecture, choice architect, and the concept of nudge. So nudge theory is a book. You can all of you can probably go and read that out. So since this topic is very complex, please post us a comment, a question, and myself and Tejasvi will take that up and answer. And if needed, we might probably spin up one more talk where we will go much more deeper. Right, Tejasvi?
Yeah, should be happy to take a conversation further on how to imbibe design thinking and gamification into the regular data management practices. But definitely, using the principles of choice architecture into an operating model will definitely work for the organizations out there. We just need to have this thinking imbibed into the daily,
Absolutely.
working practices.
Right. Great. So thank you very much, Tejasvi, for joining Data Ki Baat today and sharing your thought and insights from your experience. I hope user must have enjoyed. So I have thoroughly enjoyed the conversation today with you. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjeev, for having me on Data Ki Baat. And yeah, it has been an excellent conversation. Looking forward to a next session as well with yourself.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching Data Ki Baat. Post your questions, and we should be able to put some answer over there. Thank you very much.